inspires. The African continent will soon vibrate. All eyes are glued on 2016 champs Masanda One of Mzansi, Ivorian Kings, Asec Mimosa, Pedro de Luanda of Angola, 11-time winners and current African champions Al Ahly of Egypt. These CAF Champions League group winners will be drawn against group runners-up. DRC's TP Mazembe, ES Tunis from Tunisia, and the Giants of Tanzanian football, Simba Sports Club and Young Africans. Be part of the quarterfinals draw of the CAF Champions League 2023-2024 season on Tuesday, 12 March at 3 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Shankana elu ante pisale rato haradi pula liri fifo ante pisale rato kese nako isikai Shankana baile moritana nana pula isikai matale olaile modisana bana heke haibula homodita Hari huke, wana heke, hai bula, homudita, hari huke, mirato libedile, che copari homudivo elesake, mirato libedile, che copari homudivo elesake, homutena, hadibu elesake, homutena, hadibu elesake, Belelin kasula, irinkili kokele, Mushankana yena, unea kubile muhapa wa mneti, alebala fono, hakaka haraketi, Kafuma na mulaita Jomere ikaba kikaeta jang Bwana heke haibula homudita Hari huke Bwana heke haibula homudita Hari huke Irato libedile Kiko pari homudivo elesake Irato libedile Kopari homudivo elesake Homutena Hadibu elesake Homutena Hadibu elesake
Leomele coming through with Lerato Lifedile, and that is how we open up the show today. She's actually a multi-talented, multi-faceted young creative. She's got a children's book that released last year, and it's called Kina Lady. It's a Sesotho's children's song book, and this should be lovely. It looks as though it's targeted to the younger kids in the family. So if you've got a child probably below 8 years old, this is something that you might want to add to their literary collection. I would also be interested to know who did the illustration for the cover of this particular book. But that is how we say good afternoon to you. And I hope that you had an incredible weekend and you got all the rest that your heart desired and you're ready for the week that lays ahead. I mean, we're still gripped by the scorching heat wave, and I'm pretty sure it's countrywide. As I was driving into work today, I thought to myself, how would you run at 12 noon in this heat wave? I literally saw somebody running at 12 noon, fully clothed, head to toe covered with 2 layers of clothing, including those muscle compression tights and things. And I just thought, why would you do that to yourself when there's always 5 a.m. in the morning? Or, 5 p.m. when the sun has gone down a little bit. But I guess to each their own, right? We've got lots of show coming up today. We're going to be catching up with the founder and organizer of the Community Heroes Awards. She's going to be joining us, the South African Heroes Awards. She's joining us in studio. We're also going to be catching up with the current winner of the annual Gauteng Accelerator Program Innovation Competition. We'll find out what made her ideas stick out a cream above the rest. And then on the other side of 2 o'clock, we're looking at networking and building relationships, particularly meaningful relationships. I think a lot of us think that we know how to network, but really we don't know how to network. The number that you can call us on is 086 000 2032 if you want to give us a call, or 061 410 4107. That is our WhatsApp line if you'd like to send through a WhatsApp voice note. And remember, of course, as per usual, we've gone back to streaming. So if you are on social media, wherever you are, we are at SAFM Radio is the handle you can find us on. Let's take a quick break and we'll come right back.
You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
It is the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga on SAFM, leading the conversation. And I'm joined in studio by a voice you might recognize. Amanda Machaka is joining me. She is the awards founder and organizer of the 6th Annual South African Heroes Awards. And they've just opened up entries inviting community heroes to nominate themselves or be nominated by others. And all this is in an effort to recognize and celebrate unsung heroes. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good, thanks. And how are you doing?
I am fantastic. It's so nice to put the face to the name,
right?
To the name, to the voice, to everything. So it is the 6th Annual South African Heroes Awards. Let's rewind back to the inception of this. Why was it important for you to found this particular awards ceremony that honors community heroes?
Yeah, so having worked in a newsroom for years and, dealing with hot news, and I interacted with a couple of people, some friends, some, industry peers, and just to check really when you are not working, do you listen to news? Do you watch? Do you read? Whichever platform you be consuming news on. And some of the friends. And some people say that, no, we don't, because, news is depressive and all of that. So I thought maybe we can have an alternative, for people that don't want to get, hot news and all of that, because we have to tell news. Yeah. People need to be informed about what is happening in and around them. And so I then started a platform called South African Positive News, an online news site. And so this is where we profile people who are doing great things, just to give others, an alternative to say, look, it's not only just doom and gloom, there's good stuff that's coming out of our country. And so having interacted with the people that we're profiling there, I thought it's not enough to just profile them on that platform. How about to come up with an awards ceremony that celebrates them, that says, we see you, we recognize you, keep going. And so that's how the awards came about.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know if the folks in the newsroom are listening. They'll probably tell me to shut up, Bridget. But we could do with the news, a good news story, every hour or two, just to balance the brains.
I fully agree with you on that one. I really do. We have what you call a tail end of that last story.
Yeah.
We can make it a beautiful news story,
Yeah.
and leave our listeners on a high note. Why not?
Why not? Absolutely. So it's been 6 years, because this is the 6th annual South African Heroes Awards, and give us a reflection of the past 5 years and some of the heroes that you've recognized over that time.
Right. So like with anything that's starting, really, there would be some challenges. So
Yeah.
when we started, we didn't have any support financially, so to speak, and but it was important for me that we get started. So I had to put together whatever I had at the time and make sure that we get started. And then in the second year, fortunately, we had support from an amazing young man who runs an organization called Mohlalife Engineering. Is the founder of that organization, and so they came on board and supported us, and it's been lovely from then, and we've seen growth in terms of the support that we've got. Of course, the people that are participating in the awards, putting in their submissions for nominations, and the beautiful thing is that the people that are nominating are those that are actually recipients of the good work that is being done by these unsung heroes. So they tell us about the people that they want to be celebrated, and the heroes themselves can also nominate themselves and tell us about the work that they're doing. So the response, from the time we started to now has been phenomenal. And because we're the South African Heroes Awards, we've been able to have people coming from all our provinces putting in their submissions. And also the beautiful thing is that those that have won over the years have gone on to be recognized as we wanted them to be, and get the support that they need, because unfortunately some NGOs, they don't have a good story to tell as far as funding is concerned. They're struggling. And so when you say that, okay, I've won a South African Hero Award in this particular category, that's something that people want to pay attention to.
Yes.
So perhaps be able to open their purses and support you. So that has been the stories of some of the people that have won, and also corporate coming on board and supporting their initiatives. Some of them even government saying, come, let's hear you out. So those are the highlights.
And I mean, Amanda, that speaks to sustainability, right? Because that speaks to not only the sustainability of your awards that you founded, but also of the organizations and the NPOs and NGOs that are nominated in these awards. I would reckon that part of the vetting process is to actually see the proof in the pudding of, because you could just nominate Bridget and Bridget doesn't have the right track record. She doesn't show sustainability. There's no, but with this, it then forces the vetting. And that the people being put forward, I'm assuming, are all people with an incredible track record, making it easier for them to go knock on doors.
Definitely. It has to be done that way. When we get the submissions, we've got a team that vets them. We have to make it a point that it is an existing organization. They do actually have been doing the work that they are being nominated for. The recipients themselves, of these good acts, what are they saying? Who are they? And so then it speaks to what you're saying, that once they have all of that in order, they're able to knock on doors. And now they have this accolade that's backing them up as well in the form of the award.
Are there specific sectors or specific sort of, what's the word, areas of focus that you're seeing a lot of people being nominated in over the last 5-6 years?
So what we have is different categories. And they're spread, the nominations are for each of these categories. For instance, we have women empowerment, we have youth empowerment, we have rural development, we have business empowerment, community service, community health. So the nominations will be coming in for all these different categories. And so it also goes to show that there's a lot that is happening in our communities. Before perhaps we'd be looking at the first ones that I mentioned. We know that there's been a lot that is being done as far as youth youth empowerment is concerned, and people have also now lately been uplifting women a lot. But rural development, nothing much has been said about that.
Yes.
And sometimes these are communities that are deemed forgotten communities. So to have people doing something to develop rural communities is amazing. And when we introduced this category 3 years ago, we didn't expect that we'd be having so much in terms of response, but it's been there, and it's just amazing to see that there are people that are making it a point that people in the rural areas are not forgotten.
Absolutely. And what of like the sort of filtering criterias are nominees having to go through, obviously, to satisfy your vetting committee or your selection committee? Are there things that they should also be aware of as potential nominees?
You just have to be sure of what you're doing. You've been around for a couple of years. You have a record, a track record of the work that you've done. And when you're doing your submission, you tell us about what you've been doing in about 500 words. And then you put in links that will point us to the work that you've been doing. Nowadays, people are online.
Yes.
So you're not just doing the work and there is no proof of it.
Of course, yes.
So whether you have a website that you can refer us to, social media links, so that we can be able to see the work that you've been doing. So basically, that's what you need to make sure that is available, so that we're able to make sure that you are who you say you are and you're doing what you're saying you're doing.
And in fact, to that point, just for me, adding my little 2 cents, having a few people that I know in NGOs, it's vital for NGOs to keep track of the work that they do, especially if you're a project-based NGO. A lot of the time, if you go knocking at corporates, they're going to go, okay, show us. We see your 2-page presentation with the numbers and things, but show us that you took someone else's 100,000 and you did what you said you did. Yeah.
Definitely. There has to be that proof as well.
Yeah. Lovely stuff. Okay, so now you have a footprint, because it is the South African Heroes Awards, as you said. All the provinces are involved in this. It's a lot of ground to cover. 9 provinces.
I know. It's a daunting task.
It is.
Right.
Yeah. Who makes up some of the people that are on the awards? You don't have to tell us specific names or anything like that, but just paint us a picture of some of the people that are involved from the selection process, the folks who actually sit there and go through all the different submissions and ultimately decide on, who is awarded at a particular year.
Right. So once the nominations open, as we have done, they opened end of Feb. And so we have a selection committee that then sits and goes through once the closing date has come. Sits and goes through the submissions, and then thereafter we then select finalists that the public will then vote for.
Okay.
Right.
So ultimately it's the public's decision.
Ultimately it's the public's decision. So the selection committee will go through the finalists, the nominations, and then having vetted them, and then come up with a list of finalists, and then the finalists are voted for by the public.
I got you.
Yeah.
That's a fair process.
I think so too.
Also, you didn't want to be in the firing line.
No. Vote for your own, community hero. You know exactly what they're doing. Now that we've put them out there, now go for it.
Absolutely. I love it. And then you've got part of it, you've got the honorary awards this year. Tell me a bit more about those ones. I love a green award, right? Because I think also communities are not very focused on environmental issues.
Right.
If we are to judge by how and where we live,
what we see.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So this is also one of my favorites as well, and I like the fact that some of the people that have won. Okay, this is the 3rd year that we'll be having the Green Award. Okay. So the winner, the person that was recognized the first time, it's like actually 2 young people that are coming from the Vaal that took bottles that they would find littered around, and they made beautiful ornaments from those. And so they were also monetizing that. Not only are they making sure that the environment is well taken care of, but they're also able to make money out of that. And then last year's a person was recognized is building schools out of recycled material, So that's just amazing. And then there is Ubuntu Honorary Award, which honors veterans that have been, community builders for years, and they've gone on to also produce people of significance in communities who are doing amazing things as well. I'd mention that last year we honored Uzola 7, Bonkosi Dlamini.
Yes.
We know that we grew up watching Zola 7 on TV, him reaching out and doing so many wonderful things, empowering people, empowering communities. But it did not just end when his TV show ended. He personally still continues. And so it was just wonderful to just, acknowledge him for the amazing work that he's done. And then we have the Art of Giving, which we introduced last year.
Yes.
And these are people who are uplifting communities through art. And last year it went to Kabonina Kubega, the actress and choreographer. She's done so many things.
She has.
She's wonderful. And then the Language Preservation Award, which also is one of my favorite, introduced last year as well. And SA Heroes Awards take place during Heritage Month in September. And what a way to also just bring language into this, because language is part of our heritage. So those people that are making it a point that our languages, or indigenous languages, are not forgotten. We continue with them. Even the young generation is able to converse, fluently in their indigenous languages. So we recognize such people and leader of influence, people who have been leading by example. When we talk about influencers, we think in social media. It's not only that the ones that we see, there's nothing wrong with that, but these are people that have been role models for our young people. They have been taking young people under their wings. They've been making it a point that they are really leading by example. And this year we're introducing the Rights Activist of the Year, giving honor to those who fight tirelessly for human rights, and Aid Giver of the Year. People are responding, to in terms of disaster and distress, and iconic impact, and honoring people who have lived and continue to live their lives, giving of themselves to others in different sectors, and excellence in public service. Not all things are bad in public service. People are doing well. So an international achiever, people who are putting South Africa on the map, making it a point that we're shining bright, in the world. So
I love it. I love the honorary categories, but I also love, the grounding categories of this particular award. So the nominees are currently open, and they do close on the 30th of April. And if you want more information, or you want to nominate a hero, nominate yourself, they can send an inquiry information to info@sapositivenews.com, right?
That's right. And also now on the website, which is www.saheroesawards.co.za, there is a nomination form that they can also complete to nominate themselves or their hero.
Lovely stuff. Congratulations to you and the team. That is our very own Amanda Machaka, awards founder and organizer for the 6th annual South African Heroes Awards. That is how that's where we leave it. Time for us. I almost want to make her say it's time for us to get into the headline news.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Bridget. In the headlines, Minister of Justice and Correctional Services Ronald Lamola has raised concerns over judges who are facing hearings and those who have been impeached. He says if there are complaints against judges, they should be attended to and those matters clarified. The ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula says the party has confidence in the people that are on its candidates list. He says they are ready to work with all South Africans to implement the party's 2024 election manifesto. And as a heatwave continues to ravage Gauteng, some Johannesburg residents are still without water since last week. I'll have details on these and other stories at 2.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365, Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za.
Every person, no matter who you are, what music you're inclined to listen to, and what you do with your weekends. You need a weekend playlist.
When I started out, it was just a matter of seeing you every day. One day I'll reach it.
It's that musical mix of music that accompanies the lazy weekends, whether catching up with friends and family or just taking some time to reflect. Tune in to The Soundtrack of Your Life with me, Ernest Pillay, Saturdays and Sundays, 1 to 4 on SAFM.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
It is a Good News Monday, clearly, this side of the world. And right now, we're going to be in conversation with the winner of the 13th Annual Gauteng Accelerator Program Innovation Competition that was recently announced. And this was facilitated, of course, this year in partnership with Technology Innovation Agency and the Emory University Gazetta Business School in Atlanta, Georgia. And this year's theme spoke to solving societal challenges through technological innovation. And we've got the winner, Tlulugelo Sesane, is joining me now, and she is the Innovation Hub alumni and, of course, winner for this year. How are you doing, Tlulugelo? You good?
I am very happy, yes. Very happy to be the winner, yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Well, listen, you're kicking off the year on a great note, so no surprises there. Let's talk about, the 13th Annual Gauteng Accelerator Program Innovation Competition. You were announced the winner for 2024. And for you, the importance of participating in a program like this one, particularly as a young entrepreneurial innovator?
For me, I think it's a great opportunity, and I'm very grateful for the Innovation Hub for creating such offerings, because more often than not, we as entrepreneurs, we have a lot of ideas, but we don't know how to see them to fruition. So programs like this help us to materialize these things that just otherwise lie dormant in our heads, So I'm very grateful to be a part of it, because now it means my offering will finally come alive.
And I mean, we speak a lot about, African solutions for African problems. And I guess innovators like yourself are the kind of people that are often thought of when making that reference, right? People who are able to see what our issues are and then come up with ways that we can tap into our own resources and our own strengths in order to find solutions that develop us.
Correct, because it's our lived experience at the end of the day, and we have to tailor our solutions towards that, because we cannot keep on relying on the West to give us solutions for our problems. We have to be the ones who are offering these solutions for our own problems, because we are living through them, So that is what I think.
Now, as you segue us nicely into the work that you did, let's talk about how you responded, I guess, firstly, before we even speak about your innovation. Let's talk about how you responded to that theme, societal challenges through innovation, because I know you're a trained and qualified architect.
Correct. So yes, I used my training to respond to the brief. So I used mine is an architectural solution, and it was very much inspired by my neighborhood and how I see these people taking autonomy over their own lived experience. You know, when you go to a Kasi, no one really needs an architect. Or they need it in principle, but they don't, call on architects. It's self-built and self-designed. So my offering gives them that opportunity. It eliminates the need for a contractor and the need for an architect.
And you focused on township economy revitalization. That was the category. All right. Try and explain it to us in a way that those of us who don't have architectural brains and who aren't innovators, so that we can understand, what was the presented sort of, I guess, problem within the category and then the response in solution.
Yeah. So it is housing, right? The problem was housing, as it is, I think, globally. But the solution was unique in the sense that it's an adaptable modular system. In basic, simple terms, it means that it's a structure that can fold and collapse, and you can also move the floors and the walls and the roofs, right, by using the hinge system that's embedded in this structure itself. And as I said earlier, it means that if I buy a plot of land in Mabopane, where I'm from, I can just buy this thing, it comes in a box, and unfold it. And if I'm tired of living in Mabopane, maybe I want to relocate to maybe Cape Town or something like that, I can fold it up and then take it to this new plot in Cape Town, so to say.
Oh, wow. Okay. Very interesting concept, that. Quite dynamic. I mean, we see on television American mobile homes, but these are already structures that are, erect and rigid.
Correct.
And here you are saying it's a collapsible, adaptable, modular structure.
Yes.
Oh, very interesting. And would this be for proper residential solutions? Would this be for perhaps if Bridget wants to have a little back room or a little bit of a spaza? How far are we able to utilize this solution?
Literally as far as you want, but it starts as a basic bachelor unit. But if you want to increase your family size, when you buy another one, you just click it onto the side. And obviously, you can, as I said, you can affect the, the membrane of your walls. So they don't have to look as rigid as walls currently look like now. And you can literally have a Dubai-like looking structure in the Kasi, wherever you are.
Oh, so interesting. And you call this the Nexus, is it the Nexus Adaptable Modular Solution?
Correct, yes.
All right. Now, tell me in as far as durability, and because now I'm trying to picture in my head that, when one enters this innovation competition, you've obviously you've done the science and the mathematics of everything, and so it's structurally sound. But how are we creating it, or what kind of materials are we using in order to create this? And are these things that are readily available, eco and environmental friendly? What's the thinking?
Yes, so the thinking was largely inspired by my conditioning as a TET graduate. So they teach us to design in a sustainable manner, and that means looking beyond just the material aspect of sustainability. We're also looking into cultural sustainability and economic sustainability, which means that this offering becomes very, very affordable. So I'm using local materials. So as you know, South Africa has a large plantation of SA pine, right? So the interior and the structural component of this offering is SA pine, but it is cross-laminated. So that's where I get my rigidity and stability from. And then on the outside, it has corrugated sheeting or IBR. That is to say, I don't want to say mazenge, because if I say mazenge, then people think of...
informal settlements.
Yeah, no. It's the ones you see in Cape Town and the ones you see in Sandton, that aesthetic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's giving industrial with environmental friendly elements to it. And have you built a full scale model of this and sort of tested it over time?
Yeah, I've only built a a tiny scaled model, but I'll use my winnings to build a full scale model and subject myself to elements, because I cannot be proposing something to the masses if I don't subject myself to it. So I will be the test pilot. I'll be living in it for the whole year, and then I'll see how winter and summer fares in this a modular system that I'm proposing.
Listen, I can't wait to follow that journey because, now my imagination, you've painted this picture in my mind, and I definitely want to see what that works out. But this is the thing, right? There's a lot of sort of sustainable, eco-friendly architects globally that are starting to think in this particular way, starting to think about structures like this. And this is something, I guess, when we look at space and affordability in South Africa, it's probably a model that should be considered moving into the future.
Yeah, definitely. And that is the idea going forward is when it succeeds, we're hoping to multiply it across all the regions in South Africa to really, I think, help with the housing crisis, one, but also allow people to really affect their own spaces, because as much as people like to say architects know everything, we really don't, So I'm tapping back into this cultural thing of like knowing what's right intuitively, and every person knows that, So it's about also empowering the end user at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? You are definitely the kind of person, Hlulugelo, that we need in South Africa. And tell me, I know you said you're going to use your winnings to sort of build a full scale, and then you're going to test it out for a year or so just to see how it actually fares in real life elements. And what are some of the challenges, by the way, when it came to sort of innovating this kind of structure, the Nexus?
I think the biggest challenge for people like myself is self-doubt, because you realize that this is a huge idea, and you're in almost disbelief, Does God really trust me with this huge offering, because it can revolutionize how we live as people, So it's getting over that barrier of self-doubt and just trusting the process and just embedding yourself in the process and just honoring the gift as well, because the dream came to you for a reason, so you have to see it to fruition. So yeah, that's the biggest challenge in my opinion.
And moving into the very near future, as you continue to develop and ideate and refine this idea, are there particular resources that perhaps you are needing to plug into, particular skill sets, particular mindsets that will help you sort of cement and take this to actual product viability?
Yes, I think going into the future, if after the first year, and then we find that the theory matches the practical study, that we envision coming into a relationship with smart solutions, because I think we're moving towards a smart world where these fridges tell you that your fridge is running empty on milk. So we want our system to be able to inform the people that, oh, no, you need to replace this conduit because it's damaged. You need you to replace this bulb because it's damaged or it's becoming weaker. So something like that to make it a more, I think, holistically sustainable offering.
Absolutely. We need a little Alexa in there to say that nut and bolt in the corner, top right corner, is looking a bit defunct. Hlulugelo, thank you so much for the time, and congratulations on winning as being one of the winners at the 13th Annual Gauteng Accelerator Program Innovation Competition. What a novel idea. What a grand idea. But listen, I think every single innovator, every innovation that we've seen probably came with someone going, no, it would never work, until it worked. That was Hlulugelo Sisane walking away in this year's category of the Township Economy Revitalization category at the Gauteng Accelerator Program Awards. Oh, the Nexus Adaptable Modular System. Imagine living in a world where you can just pitch your house somewhere, find yourself a little corner, a little piece of land, rent out the little piece of land, erect your house at minimal cost, live there for the summer or maybe a winter, and then decide, I want to relocate. And then you collapse your house and pack up all your furniture and you move somewhere else. Takes the concept of mobile homes to completely different dimensions. It's 086 000 2032 is the number you can call if you want to get in on this conversation. Or 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. We're going to take a quick break here. By the way, we are leading up to Kids Corner, which is going to run us to the top of the hour. And then coming up on the other side of 2 o'clock, we're looking at networking and building relationships, particularly meaningful relationships, are the key to success. We often throw the word around networking, get into spaces and network. But how many of us optimize on networking, and are we doing it correctly? Because I think our ability to socialize and maybe amass contacts and fill out our phones with fancy names and phone numbers is not particularly networking as it's designed to be. Some of us even joke around that we have every kind of contact, and depending on the space you're in, a lot of media practitioners and broadcasters and people in entertainment will attest to this, that we have the ability to get any and every phone number we have, but probably we have the most useless phones known to mankind because we just don't network correctly, right? So what's the point of being able to access some of the most powerful and influential individuals in the country and even beyond if you are not going to network to the fullest? That is the conversation we're going to be having on the other side of 2 o'clock. And of course, you can find us on social media at Bridget Masinga on X as well as on Instagram. Let's take a quick break.
Get South Africa's best adventure SUV. The new Ford Everest Sport 2-liter auto bi-turbo 4x2, now from only $14,499 per month with no deposit. With 20-inch alloy wheels and black exterior accents. Get the new Ford Everest Sport at your nearest Ford dealer today. T&Cs apply.
Is there such a thing as a favorable draw in football? The moment to find out is almost here. Top 8 CAF Confederation Cup quarterfinalists can't wait to find out who their opponents are. Group winners USM Alger, Samalek FC, Dreams FC, and RSB Bakane will be drawn against group runners-up Modern Future, Abu Salem, Rivers United, and Stade Malien. Witness the quarterfinals draw of the CAF Confederation Cup 2023-2024 season on Tuesday, 12 March at 2 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. This program is brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hi, my name is Danica Wooden. I very easily get distracted when doing homework. I get distracted by anything and everything. The things that distract me the most is probably people or music that's not my own. I usually just try to ignore them and block them out. Sometimes it can affect my schoolwork negatively because I may not be able to focus and I won't be able to finish my homework or to study. Sometimes just peace and quiet helps me stay focused or listening to a podcast. I personally don't really think that I need much help. As long as I have silence and my podcast, I will be perfectly fine. Thank you.
Good day, parents. My name is Kapiamba. My son is Dainabo, and I'm 12 years old. Yes, I do get distracted easily. When someone does something that attracts my attention, I have tried focusing on the thing I was doing. It hasn't affected my schoolwork negatively. I listen to chilled music to help me stay focused. No, I don't think I need help. Thank you for listening.
Good day, everyone. My name is Tanyani Ramapsuha. I'm in grade 6 at Tumbeto Primary School. I need to tell you how I get distracted when I study. My siblings always make noise, so I decided to get a better way to study. I asked my father to take me to the library. It is a quiet and peacefully place to study. If you are distracted as well, please get a better way to study, because knowledge is powerful and no one can take it from you. Thank you, everyone.
Good day, my name is Nantleka Kela and I live in Johannesburg. No, I don't get distracted easily. I'm able to block out all distractions. Before I do anything, I meditate. Composing yourself is very important as it sets the tone for your body and your mind, and your brain adapts to that. In class or at school, I shut down all negativity. My friends know that I won't entertain any playfulness once I start to focus. My advice is self-discipline. Keep calm at all times and set goals for your own tune.
Hello, my name is Monet Inchalengabera. Yes, I do get distracted easily when I'm busy with my schoolwork or doing something important. And what distracts me the most is my cell phone and the television. So what I've actually done about the situation is that I switch off my cell phone and the television so that I can finish doing my schoolwork, and then when I'm done, I can just go back to social media and doing what I was doing on my cell phone. Yes, it has affected my schoolwork negatively, but as time went on and then I started switching it off while doing my schoolwork, it actually has helped pretty much better in my situation. So what normally helps me stay focused when I'm doing my schoolwork is that my mom will help me to stay away from my phone for that amount of time. And then if I'm studying, then obviously I'll study for a few minutes, take a break, study again, and take a break. So yeah, I think that I do need help from my distractions. Let us learn to deal with things that distract children from their schoolwork. Thank you and have a lovely day.
My name is Tsulifele Moeng. I do sometimes get distracted when I'm trying to do my schoolwork. And the thing that really distracts me is my little sister, and sometimes my dog barks and it can be a little irritating, and sometimes when my parents also wash the dishes, when my parents are cleaning and I'm trying to do my work. What I've tried to do about it is I've tried to put on earphones and listen to calm, steady music. And I also put on noise cancelling headphones so that I don't get any distractions or any little sounds that will disturb me while I'm doing my schoolwork. Honestly, it hasn't really affected me at all negatively. It's just irritating. The thing that really keeps me concentrated when I'm doing my schoolwork is listening to Mozart music or study music or calm music, because it also helps me remember the things in school that I learned. Honestly, just for me personally, I don't think I learn from distractions. I hate distractions so much. Even when I'm in a conversation or even when I'm playing on my gaming console, I just hate distractions.
My name is Katrina. There's only one thing that distracts me from my schoolwork, and it's my device, unfortunately. I don't know what can be done to deal with this distraction, but I do have some self-control and I do have a proper schedule. So I know as soon as I get home, I do this and then I can have a break. But I don't know how to deal with this distraction though.
Hello everyone, my name is Duruetang Ndlu. I'm 12 years old and I go to Mokoli House School. Yes, there are things that sometimes distract me from my schoolwork. I really enjoy watching vlogs and choreography videos on YouTube. I also like playing The Sims 4 and games on Roblox. Usually, I do all my homework and studying first before playing any games or watching YouTube. My mother also takes my electronic devices at 6 p.m. on school nights, and I spend the most time on YouTube during the weekend. The best way to deal with academic distractions is to do all your academic work before going out to play or playing games. Also, parents should keep an eye on their children's academics and limit their time on electronic devices. Children can make learning more fun by watching educational videos on YouTube.
Hello friends, I hope you had a great weekend. Well, today is Monday and it means we need to get very serious with our schoolwork. Have you ever lost yourself in the fun of watching videos, reading through social media, or talking to a friend on FaceTime when you should be doing something more important? Unfortunately, this is the reality of most of us as children. We are interested in these activities even when it is time for schoolwork and thus become distracted. Many of us suffer with specific distractions to some extent. Distractions surround us in our daily lives. Some distractions occur suddenly, while others are commonly self-imposed. The more you succumb to distractions, the bigger the impact on your schoolwork and general performance. Here are some practical ways to manage your distractions. First, develop self-discipline and control. Put your phone away or give it to your parents to keep while you're studying or doing something else important. Secondly, practice and improve concentration. Concentration training can be compared to going to the gym. The first workout is challenging and uncomfortable, but after you establish a regular program, the gym becomes pleasurable. The first few tries to concentrate may be challenging, and you may experience resistance. It is a mental workout. Be patient with yourself. Your mind is not used to disciplined thinking, yet constant practice will secure the best results. Finally, starve your distractions and feed your focus. Practice to be attracted to more important things first and maintain focus. Check out handouts or articles on procrastination and motivation to gain more helpful tips about focus. Set aside specific times each day for your phone, gadgets, computer, and television. Let your friends know specific times you will respond to their texts or calls.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives. Top Sport with Michael Abramson.
Prince Ndiweni, incredible story about the 18-year-old expecting, as you say, to be competing in Formula 2. He'd taken pole position, all of a sudden getting thrust into the spotlight.
Exactly, that's the general sentiment. Hardly any pressure for him. I mean, at the moment he's sitting in the elimination zone in 11th place. But yeah, for him it's a learning curve, massive opportunity for him to impress and get his name etched in the minds of the entire community, let alone Ferrari, who obviously they've got a succession plan, always have a succession plan in mind, and for the short and the long game. They're definitely going to know his name after this weekend if he plays his cards right and makes sure just to have a clean racing weekend. I think that's the best thing.
Top Sport on SAFM. The Market Update, Monday to Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m.
Want to stay ahead of the financial game? Join us tonight from 6 to 7 p.m. for an insightful journey through the day's market developments, financial updates, and investment news. Tune in for your daily dose of financial intelligence as we navigate the twists and turns of the financial landscape with expert insights. Only on the SAFM Market Update.
SAFM Market Update with Jimmy Muyaha. Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105.5 FM in Tabazimbi. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
I never was your ordinary lover. I never hurt you and just walk away. And though you came to me when I was under, our lives began to move in separate ways. I never thought our love would last forever, but I never wanted things to end this way. Now I lie here cold and alone. Nobody's home. I know I'll make it on my own. It'll turn out right for me, baby. Gonna make it on my own. Start a brand new life without you, baby. Never gonna be alone. It's not a fantasy. I'm free, baby, and the love we had is gone. Possibilities out there, baby, gonna make it on my own. Whatever you have left me, I'll remember. And loving you was not a waste of time. I know that sometimes I was too short-tempered.
Independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
In our top stories, Lamola demands accountability within the judiciary and police probe death of TUT student. Good afternoon. Minister of Justice and Correctional Services Ronald Lamola has raised concerns over judges who are facing hearings and those who've been impeached. He says if there are complaints against judges, they should be attended to and those matters should be clarified. He spoke to the SABC on the sidelines of the Bi-National Commission meeting between South Africa and Ghana. Lamola says there must be accountability within the judiciary.
It is a concern that from time to time we have to deal with such issues. But you will also remember that there's been also a stinging criticism that issues related to the judiciary are not being attended to, it takes too long and all that. So I do think that the accountability mechanisms and processes have to be allowed to have a life of their own, to process these matters and deal with them. And anyone who has got a case to answer, they are able to answer and clarify. If there's no case, there's no case.
And in election news. The ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula says the party has confidence in the people that are on its candidates list. He says they are ready to work with all South Africans to implement the party's 2024 election manifesto. Mbalula was addressing the media in Johannesburg.
The qualifications, skills and combined experience of our 2024 candidates reflects a party that has gained enormous experience in governance and development. The new additions to our list bring with them experiences in civil society, business, the youth, students and trade union movements, and traditional leadership, which will only enrich how we govern and represent people over the coming 5 years.
As the heat wave continues to ravage Gauteng, some Johannesburg residents are still without water since last week. Affected areas include Linden and Blegori in the Randburg area. Bulk water supplier Rand Water says they are working around the clock to resolve the matter. Johannesburg Water spokesperson Nombuso Shabalala says their technicians are on site with the assistance of the Rand Water team.
Johannesburg Water and Rand Water technical teams are currently reconfiguring the system and meeting on site to bring Linden 1 to an acceptable level in order to start stabilizing supply. Johannesburg Water is working with ward councillors of the affected areas for the coordination of water tankers to provide emergency water supply in the greater Randburg area.
Mpumalanga police are investigating the death of a 25-year-old Tshwane University of Technology student from the Emalahleni campus in Mpumalanga, who is alleged to have died after being assaulted by police over the weekend. According to reports, police were called to attend to a complaint in the area and they found students and a scuffle ensued. The deceased student was injured in the process and died while he was being treated in hospital. Mpumalanga police spokesperson Donald Mdluli.
There is a 25-year-old student at the TUT who unfortunately died in the early hours of Saturday, 9 March. However, a case of inquest is being investigated by the IPIT following allegations that members of the police from Witbank could have been involved.
And finally, a 46-year-old woman has been sentenced to 12 years imprisonment for fraud and corruption by the Durban Specialized Commercial Crimes Court. Ramonia Naidu defrauded her employer of more than 2 million rand between 2017 and 2018. Naidu was caught when an audit revealed the irregularities. Hawk spokesperson Simpiwe Mhlongo.
She was sentenced for fraud and corruption that happened this summer in 2017. It is alleged that she connived with the supplier and they were doing some irregularities, and she will receive the cash for personal gain, of which more than 2 million was prejudiced or lost by the company through her fraudulent activities. She was sentenced to 8 years imprisonment, of which 3 years was suspended for 5 years on condition that she is not found guilty of any theft or fraud during the period of suspension. She was further sentenced 4 years imprisonment for corruption, but her sentence will run concurrently with.
Recapping the top story, Minister of Justice and Correctional Services Ronald Lamola has raised concerns over judges who are facing hearings and those who have been impeached. He says if there are complaints against judges, they should be attended to and those matters should be clarified. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation.
Luvalo Kandibona wena Andisakwazi nokusibamba Ndinguma kakhulu Kandibona wena Andale ndiyoyika Ukuthetha nawe Kodwa nomkhitha kanigithuba ndithethe nawe Ndiyacela mamela Ngawe ndiyasifela Khawuleza sondela Thando kwempela Khawuleza sondela Ndithando kwempela Khawuleza sondela Ndithando kwempela Ndiyacela mamela Ngawe ndiyasifela Khawuleza sondela Ndithando kwempela
It is Musa coming through with Nomkita is the name of this particular track. Wondering if there was a Nomkita at some point in his life. I always wonder. It's always in the back of my mind, when we engage music, with who was the inspiration behind it all. It is 10 past 2 o'clock on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on this fine Monday afternoon. I hope you are having a great one, preparing for a successful and productive week ahead, where you hopefully will reach all of your objectives for the week. And we are talking all things now pertaining to networking and, of course, building relationships, particularly professional relationships, but not just building relationships, but ensuring that they're also meaningful and become key to your success, both in your career and, I guess, by an extension as well, in your personal life. Networking skills and relationship building are things that we all know are indispensable tools for career development. But do we often know how to utilize them, how to maximize them in order to ensure that we get to where we want to go? And that is the conversation we thought we'd have today with business and development coach Brian Mhlanga, as we look at networking, all the pros and cons and the things that challenge us as individuals. How are you doing, Brian?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners. Thank you for having me.
It's only but a pleasure. I mean, I think for as long as I can remember, once one entered some kind of professional space, that word networking is the perpetual buzzword. You've got a network. Go out there, network. Socialize a network. But I think if we had to ask, a room full of us, what does networking mean? What is the essence of networking? Probably 8 out of 10 of us have the wrong understanding and the wrong definition.
Yeah, so you are right. It has become social currency. Without it, it's going to be very difficult for any of us to navigate any sector or even any space that we find ourselves working in. So it's about having the right network. But when we talk about networking, I often say to my clients and to people that I work with, it's not about who you know. It's about who knows you. And there's a difference between those two. Because the one who knows you is the one who's able to even speak up for you in a room that you're not in. Because they believe in your abilities, your skills, and your competences and all that things.
And when you speak about sort of the currency of it all, right? Because it does to some degree speak to very essential soft skills, which some people take really seriously, and they're very deliberate and determined in harnessing those, identifying them, harnessing them, and maximizing on them. And some of us walk around in oblivion, not even sure when a Brian says, develop your soft skills, your essential soft skills, what that actually means.
So it starts by being intentional that I want to be visible. I want to be visible, and then the following question is, for whom? For whom and for who, right? And where? So we live at a time where we have to be visible both in the digital space and also in the face-to-face space. But in the face-to-face space does not mean... So over the weekend, there's been the joke of... there's a joke that's going around social media right now. There's a picture of a lady called Miss Manifesto. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
No.
But Miss Manifesto is on X right now.
Oh, yes, the girl who's going to all the manifestos.
Absolutely. There we go. Miss Manifesto has been going to all the 3 manifestos that have been launched in Durban over the last, say, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And she's in all the different T-shirts, and people are actually saying, oh, my God, who is this girl, right? That's visibility. But I'm not saying we should go to all the manifestos. But that lady has not graciously, but faithfully been going to all these places. There's something in for her. The same is true for us with our careers and even with the services that we offer. We need to make sure that we are present to the right people, and they see us, and they see our work, and they see what we're about. So that's where we come with the whole notion of personal branding. Yes, we might not be radio personalities, but guess what? I am a brand in my own right. I am a brand in my own right, which means there are things that I stand for, there are things that I do, and there are things that are associated with me. And how do I use that to get me to the next opportunity, to get me the next partnership, or even to make a difference in the work that I do?
And as much as there are positives, right, to networking, Brian, and it is a really profound tool, personally and professionally, but there's also the negative connotation, as you're saying, what you're saying now about how do I use that. And I find a lot of people tend to be reluctant to be assertive, tend to be reluctant to show themselves and be in spaces and infiltrate spaces because of the negative connotations that also are sometimes built around social currency and that are built around concepts like networking.
And I can believe it. And part of it is how we are socialized. We are socialized to be humble people and modest people. That's how we are socialized, right? And therefore, anything that looks like you are putting yourself in a space or you're putting yourself forward then goes against that kind of thinking. Therefore, when an opportunity comes for me or you to make myself visible, what we do is we shrug it off and we actually say, "No, I don't deserve it," or "I can't do it." So it can be quite a self-limiting activity or even belief that we do. Yeah. So we need to go against that and actually say, in this new world of work, this is what is going to get me to my next. I need to have so it's the social capital that I need to get to the next.
Let's delve a little bit into that social capital, your social currency. That's the other thing that's attached. It goes tandem with networking. People will go, what is your net worth as determined by your social capital? How do you go about building that?
Just repeat the question for me again. How do you go about?
How do you go about building that social currency that you speak of? Because people will say your net worth is determined by your network. Yes. How do you go about building that? Building what it is do you need to get you that social currency that will get you to the next point?
Okay, there are so many layers to it, but we only have a few minutes a day. I'll look at it in a very reductive way. So number one, what are you offering? You can't just be saying you are out there. What are you offering? What are you offering? Is it your services? Is it your product? Or if you're a specialist in a certain area, what makes you different? You need to be very much aware of what we call your unique value proposition as an individual. Once you're aware of that, then you also need to be mindful that there are also other people in the space that you're working that could be either your competitors or that could be people that you could collaborate with. So number one, how do you get that visibility? You might need to collaborate with some people. That also speaks to brand association. Who is associated with your brand? There are certain brands that, let's say you are in the business of what? Give me an example.
I don't know. You're in the business of making houses or selling houses.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that. So there are certain brands that you can't mix together. That's why you hear many of us get robbed when we've got scandals. Many of us are told, no, we cannot work with you for now until this is cleared around you and around your name. So brand association is very important. So I might have a friend who is a very good friend to me, but he's been accused of, say, DBV or hate speech, and then I am seen to be hanging around him. Indirectly, it might be seen as I'm endorsing those kind of things, or I am fine with it. Okay. And now one of the biggest issues that we have is the issue around Israel and Gaza. Okay, that's a big deal in people's careers right now. And so that needs to be actually, you need to be very careful. Who do you associate your brand with? Not only who do you associate your brand with, but also who are you collaborating with. That's number two. Who are you collaborating with? But also, how are you positioned? Where are you positioning yourself? If you're going to be positioning yourself in a market where we have people who don't need your service, or it's the wrong market, it's a great product, great service, you're going to find yourself actually not having impact. Who sees you, who appreciates, and the impact of the work that you're doing is also important. Yeah.
Okay, so those are the filters that we should be using in order to build this social currency. Now, underneath networking, or as I understand it right, as you build your arsenal of people, there's also different sort of category of people that you require. You spoke earlier about it's not about who you know, but who knows you. And that speaks to the category of advocacy, right? People will speak about you must have an advocate, you must have a mentor, you must have a champion. And these people serve different things. How do you then identify those people? What filters should you be using to identify those people in order to build your net worth? Because that all speaks to what we're still speaking about, networking and how to maximize on it.
Yeah, so you need champions. You need champions, but you also need what we call sponsors. So sponsors, these are the people who actually say, I know Bridget. Bridget is a good speaker. She's a good keynote. She can give a good keynote. She's done it at SABC, and she's also done it at Brian Mhlanga Holdings, right? And she did a fantastic job. So but you need to do the work. You can't, and I totally agree with the idea of having champions and advocates. But those advocates and champions, you need to give them something to hold on to. So that is not the primary concern for me. I say, if you do your work very well and you do it with excellence, right? The people that you are offering service to, you actually not need even to market, because you are literally blowing the lights out. And that your work is then going to make your people speak for you, and those are going to be the champions and the sponsors who are actually going to say, hold on, I think she's the right person for this. So you have to be very deliberate about, you can't cut corners. You can't offer a shady service or a shady product and expect somebody to be a champion and a sponsor. It's not going to work.
So what I'm hearing you say is, in the categories of the people who would advocate and sponsor for you, enter rooms that you can't enter, the work will lead you. Excellence in your work, focus, diligence, etc. The work will speak to itself, and ultimately those people will identify you through your work. So you don't even have to go knocking on their doors.
You don't.
Okay, that makes sense.
If you do, then it becomes a secondary tool. It's not the main tool.
Okay.
Because that is not going to. Because there are lots of people who could do radio. There are lots of people who could speak. What is going to make them go for you? Exactly.
All right. And then let's talk about why these things, these various elements that we've spoken about, are so crucial, particularly for one's success. Why is networking and building the social currency so crucial for your success? And we often speak about it from the perspective of professional success.
So the world of work has really changed. Gone are the days where, so even if we had time, I was going to actually question your notion of success. Success is no longer that linear. We don't have a linear kind of view when it comes to success. Success might mean that we talk about what we call the jungle gym within the world of work, where we are saying sometimes you take two steps to the left, you take one step back and 3 steps to the right, and then you might even come back and take 4 steps forward. That's still success. So success is no longer just going up, 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 up. It means being agile and moving left, right, backwards, and maybe a step forward. So if you are going to be thinking of what is success for me in this new world of work, you actually need to also start thinking in terms of what skills do I have? What are the gaps that are there? Because guess what? All of us can sing, so you need to come up with a different angle when you're going to sing. What made Zahara Zahara? There's something different that made Sahara Sahara. What made all these famous singers that we have? There are people who sing better than them, but they are still not have been discovered. Yeah.
Okay. So that is the other thing. And then in terms of also imparting of knowledge and experience, that the other benefits to networking is that you almost have access to a cheat sheet, so to speak.
You do. I also don't, because the thing is, the problem with networking, Bridget, is it has become so transactional now that people are so scared when people come to them because you think, what do they want? So I would like to ask people to be very careful in their associations and in their relationships with people. Because people are going to sense that, oh, Brian, if I come to you, Bridget, they're going to say, oh, Brian just wants access to either my platforms or to what I can do for them, but they're not interested in me. And people feel used. So I think it's about showing people the value. When we talk about networking, it's about showing people the value you can add and the value that you have also as a person. So let's not go in the other way because I remember at a time when I was starting out myself, where you'd go to all these workshops and you'd be collecting all these business cards and you think you know these people. You don't know these people. You might have their cell numbers, but you don't know who they are, and they'll not pick up a call from you. But they'll pick up a call from you when they know that, oh, this is Brian, and maybe Brian is not just here to extract, but Brian maybe is exploring a potential collaboration, or it's just seeing where he can support me.
Yeah. But then where does that leave the leveraging on the connections then for exactly that, Brian? Either for the purpose of collaboration or the purpose of accessing opportunity, right? Because the essence of networking is exactly that. I've identified that we can somehow either collaborate or aid each other in order to get each other to whatever it is the next thing is.
It should be mutually beneficial. There should be not one person who's gaining or extracting.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes very exploitative.
Yeah.
You just taking and taking. How do I benefit from you? And people get tired of just giving people and parachuting people.
Yeah, and probably the thing that has murkied the water is the social clout that we see. Social sort of social association with people. Before we wrap it up, let's also talk in terms of, you touched a little bit about recognizing that one is a personal brand in whatever capacity, wherever spaces you work. And the importance of recognizing that and building that brand or refining what that brand is.
So your question is, how do we refine the brand or what?
Yeah.
I think, so I'm convinced you don't build a brand over 6 months. You can try and do the preliminary work, right? When you're talking about brand, it's about the reputation. It's about the faith that people have in you and in your skills. And that comes over time where you are trusted and you are tested. You're not going to be telling us that, oh, and the dog ate my USB, that's why I couldn't print my assignment, or I couldn't print the presentation because the garage door couldn't open. So it's you have to be deliberate of delivery, and that's why I say you can't cut the work. The work has to be done. And this is the problem that I have with all these branding and networking workshops that carry on. They seem to imply that the work is around the people that are around you, make yourself visible, and it's all good, but 80% of it rests in the work that you should do. You have to be reliable. You have to be dependable. You have to be credible. You can't compromise on that.
Absolutely. Brian, let's leave it there for this afternoon. That was Brian Mhlanga, business and development coach. It's just a few strokes before 2:30, and Musa is coming through with the headline news.
Thanks. Thanks, Bridget. Good afternoon. In the headlines, a report by the ANC Integrity Commission has recommended 3 out of 16 candidates referred to it for state capture-related allegations can stand as candidates despite the Integrity Commission having made adverse findings against them. Minister of Justice and Correctional Services Ronald Lamola has raised concerns over judges who are facing hearings and those who've been impeached. He says if there are complaints against judges, they should be attended to and those matters should be clarified. And President Volodymyr Zelensky's chief of staff has held the importance of Ukraine's first ever Oscar after the best documentary was won by 20 Days in Mariupol. I'll have details on these and other stories at 3.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Oh, yes. We are catching up now with the folks at Upcycle, which aims to demonstrate how design has the potential to embrace circularity in order to shape more conscious work spaces. And we're going to be catching up with Glenda Venn, who is with Titrus, Senior Design Strategist. And they have teamed up with global property development company JLL. And they're bringing us this exhibition titled Upcycle, which looks at sustainable ways, particularly within the professional settings. How are you doing this afternoon, Glenda?
I'm very well, thank you, Bridget. And greetings to all your listeners, and thank you for inviting me onto your show.
It's only but a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time. So you, along with the JLL, you guys at Titrus, you've identified that we need to be more agile. We need to be more considered in as far as sustainability is concerned, particularly within professional settings and environments. We throw around, obviously, the word and the term sustainability, but it's such a compounded concept that sometimes it becomes difficult for us to grasp at various levels. Why the need to bring this conversation around design and sustainability to the forefront for you guys?
Bridget, that's such a great question, but it seems for me quite fitting that your program is called Full Circle and you describe it as reimagining the possibilities of life.
Yeah.
Because what we're actually doing is using design and creativity to reimagine the possibilities of repurposing office furniture and all the accessories that are around us in an office. To give you context, Tetris Design and Build, who are the instigator, the catalyst for this project, designed very, very many professional workspaces. And you'll know, post-COVID, we've had this big debate. Hybrid work, come back to work, stay at home. What kind of office would make me come back to work? And its center stage in that is furniture, office furniture. Now, as we scale down, if I could consider 5 or 10 years ago, at a workspace, you always had a little set of desk drawers underneath your desk. But as we now keep everything on our laptops and we hot desk, those drawers have to go somewhere. And at the moment, many of our clients are sitting with items like that in warehouses because there's no second-hand furniture market that can carry that volume of material when there's no need for it. But I'll come back to reimagine. Because what is so good about creativity in Africa is what one person discards or has no use for, another person can invent with. And that's really the idea of Upcycle, is to take 6 talented artists, give them this palette of ordinary objects, from tabletops, COVID screens. Can you imagine how many COVID screens are now sitting in warehouses? And to then help us imagine a corporate environment, a professional environment, to use your term, on let's think mindfully about these materials, where else they could be useful and how they could possibly become more useful. And it's a very exciting project.
And I mean, And I'm sure as one sort of works around these spaces, particularly for you guys at Tetris Design and Build, as you work around these spaces, there's also very much a considered and deliberate way in how you've chosen to approach sustainability and infused design into what is sustainable, even in the call that you've made to the 6 artists that are involved.
Absolutely. So the design teams that we're using, we've chosen people like Urban Design, Ananta Design, Beat Design, Patrick Pongoy, a Congolese artist, and indeed our own team, because all of them have exhibited in their designs a passion for reusing and refurbishing materials. So, for example, Tsepiso Lefusi, who's one of our designers involved on this project, has designed 2 or 3 offices in which 80% of the new office is actually repurposed furniture. So it is, as you say, embedded in our own practice, but this is almost an upliftment or next step in that conversation, because unfortunately there are always items that get moved to a storeroom. And the thought here is someone could use those.
Absolutely. And I mean, very exciting sort of the list of designers or visual artists that are involved in this. When you look at the work, for instance, that Congolese Patrick Pongoy does, his ability to particularly take rubber materials, tires, often discarded, and just create beautiful sculptural aesthetics from it. Something that, millions of South Africans engage with on a day-to-day, but never quite call into question, where do the tires go when we change them every 10,000 kilometers?
Well, I think it's the same with office furniture, and I must say I've seen the concept sketches from all of the 6 teams, and I'll invite your listeners, if anyone is in Cape Town on the 19th and 20th of April, to make it to Maker's Landing at the V&A Waterfront. I must just tell you, before this call, I saw what was shipped to Patrick's studio, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do with the materials. And I think that's half the excitement about this project, is letting creativity and process flow in quite a corporate space to excite us to think about things differently.
Yeah. And for you guys, it's also very much about functionality, right? Because when we talk sort of upcycling, particularly if we're talking upcycling corporate furniture or office space furniture, some people get caught up in sort of, the over-the-top, non-functional creative elements. But you've made this call and you said functionality must still be at the center of this upcycling exhibition.
Yes, but it has to be playful, because an imaginative exercise must always stretch our minds. And you can't, there's a great architect called Professor Leslie Loco, a great educator in the architecture space, who said that if you can't imagine the future, you can't build it. And I think the role of true design and creativity is that they create the space that helps us consider future functionality. So there are, of the ideas I've seen, there's some very functional ideas, but there's some incredibly playful ideas, which is also about work. As we go back to work, we do want rewarding spaces. We want to be playful.
And Glenda, just the other thing that I also want to ask you about is if we're looking at just practical office spaces, right? The spaces that you get into on a day-to-day basis with your team. As people move forward into this new normal, as we engage with professional spaces differently and we interact with them differently, what should be part of the considerations, particularly from a design element, part of the considerations of how do we make these spaces, one functional, one perhaps a little bit more compressed and concise in their practicality, but also still taking into account their sustainability and the ability for them to either be constructed by using upcycled materials or have the ability to adapt and to be reused and reimagined in different ways in 5-7 years' time when buildings change and morph?
So I think the one thing is we do see in our research is that people coming back to our office really value connectivity and the role it plays in innovation and performance. We have one team in Singapore who are doing research on understanding just when are people at their most creative and high performance. I might need to sit quietly and work somewhere, but another person might really thrive on sitting at an open cafe table and feeding off other people's ideas. Understanding how teams work together is very much a part of office design. And you'll see that there's a trend towards what they call a hotel influence or a resi-commercial influence, where you have softer fittings like couches, armchairs, and softer sort of wing-back chairs armed with laptop tables, where we're trying to blend these worlds together so that people are comfortable, they are seated properly, or they're operating at the best well-being they can, and enjoying the workspace.
Fantastic. So 19th, 20th April is when that exhibition is going to be up for our enjoyment, and it's going to be at the V&A Waterfront at Marcus Landing.
It will be at Makers Landing. There's a great market on the 20th of April, so people will be able to grab a bite to eat, something to drink, and then see these 6 extraordinary artworks. But if people follow us on Instagram, they'll also be able to see the making of the artworks and also where they're finally located in Cape Town.
Lovely. We always like following the process. At least personally, I enjoy following the process. So Makers Landing is where it's at, V&A Waterfront, 19th and 20th of April. And of course, the space is free for you to access if you want to come through and see these particular exhibitions. That was Glenda Vin.
Thank you, Bridget.
Fly better to your next holiday. Book your flights with Emirates to a holiday in Dubai, London, Istanbul, or Paris. Look forward to delicious regionally inspired cuisine, enjoy free-flowing premium drinks, and relax to your favorite movies on the way. Because it's not just about the destination, it's how you get there. This year, fly Emirates. Fly better.
Top Sport with Michael Abramson.
France and Diweni qualifying, of course, ahead of the second Grand Prix of the season. Max Verstappen looks as if he's doing the business again.
Yeah, they got very quickly out the blocks. Red Bull likes to establish their dominance in the six, just how fast they are. Some hiccups that the teams may have to overcome. Mercedes had overheating issue going into this race. They weren't able to pinpoint exactly what the issue was, but they just understand that they didn't have enough cooling in their car and miscalculated just how high the temperatures were in Bahrain. So they would want to solve that and get on it quickly.
Top Sport on SAFM.
Coming up on the book reading. Historically, the discursive persuasion involved a kind of praise singing or spoken word poetry about the woman's abilities, ancestry, beauty, or other physical, behavioral, and cultural assets, as well as the man's own assets. The best outcome in this love game is to get a yes at first shot. Catch the book reading on SFM Monday to Thursday at 11:45 on the Talking.
The Market Update, Monday to Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m.
As always, we start off with how the markets have been moving throughout the day. Some very interesting moves, some that we will look at, some that Uncle David absolutely couldn't care less about. And he joins me now on the line, David Shapiro of Sasfin Wealth, to take a look at some of the market movements throughout the day. Good evening, Uncle David. Bitcoin, 62,000. You're unfazed.
Yeah.
Love it.
SFM Market Update with Jimmy Moyaha. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
People will never know the things that Aldrin Sampear and I talk about off camera.
One day we'll let you in.
One
day we'll let you in.
How are you doing, Muratiwa?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. How was the weekend?
How was the weekend? Beautiful, actually. My person launched his canteen over the weekend. So we're at the canteen, all black tie. So it was a nice experience. And yeah, Saturday, chilled. Just chilled, because that's the life that we've chosen for ourselves. You can't be hectic on a Sunday. You can't be hectic on a Sunday.
Privilege. This is what privilege and hard work look like, where you can go, I don't do anything on the weekend. Tell me, why are people up in arms about the leak of that ANC candidate list? Are these lists secret?
Yeah, for now. So eventually they would be made public, so that you and I can go through the list and say that we protest against this particular person being included on the list.
All right.
Yeah. But now they've come out prematurely and they've been leaked, and now the IEC is investigating investigating that, because what they find is that if you compare the templates, for instance, with the MK list that has been leaked as well, it is the same template, which is the same template that is being used by the IEC. So it means that it's internal, So the investigation is that somebody internally did leak it. Actually, they have now lodged a complaint with the information regulator. However, though, the information regulator is saying that they have received the notices. However, though, they can't start with the investigation because there are a few details that are still missing. So we will be speaking to the information regulator about that. But with that said as well, later on this evening, around about 6 o'clock, the IEC is going to have a press briefing. And that press briefing will also deal with the letter that the Democratic Alliance has sent to Anthony Blinken, asking for the United States to come and send an election observer mission to South Africa. So a lot has been said about the fear that the Democratic Alliance is speaking about, but as some people have pointed out, and even members of the multi-party coalition, is what is this based on? So where's the evidence that says that we could find ourselves having a problem in South Africa? And this is a big one. Also, for instance, the leak from the IEC brings about the question around whether the IEC is insulated enough from any external interference.
Yes,
because that's a major one. The president has raised concerns around it. I wonder what the IEC's response is going to be around this particular incident as well, because it does speak to the credibility of the elections overall as well. So that's one of the stories that we're focusing on.
It doesn't warrant that letter, but
well, the Democratic Alliance, they've got their own fears, and still sticking with the elections, but this time on the continent, we speak to Charles Nyokonge, African Affairs commentator, as the former president of Cote d'Ivoire, Laurent Gbagbo, has announced that he will be running for elections again. Yeah.
Interesting.
He's back again.
Yes, I mean, we haven't heard that name in a while.
Exactly. So after being cleared by the ICC, he's back.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Very interesting. Oh, wonder what that will do around those parts of the world. Aldrin Sampear is coming through between 3 and 6 o'clock. I'm sure you guys have an opinion, particularly about that letter, and you will not hesitate to share it, as well as those leak lists. That's coming up in the next few moments. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap it up.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. The Market Update, Monday to Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m.
Want to stay ahead of the financial game? Join us tonight from 6 to 7 p.m. for an insightful journey through the day's market developments, financial updates, and investment news. Tune in for your daily dose of financial intelligence as we navigate the twists and turns of the financial landscape with expert insights. Only on the SAFM Market Update.
SAFM Market Update with Jimmy Muyaha. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
We are wrapping up the show now with Hazel Mkwanazi, who is with YGAP South Africa, and Hazel is the program manager of this particular one. We're struggling to get a hold of Hazel. All right, while we try and get a hold of Hazel, so the YGAP South Africa Accelerator Program, it helps ventures to refine and, of course, validate their business model in order for them to move towards some kind of financial stability and grow the impact that they're having in communities. And it's one of those accelerator programs that will expand your ability to increase revenue, as well as creating employment opportunities and securing further investment for yourselves in order to just make a real tangible difference in your community where you operate. It should be interesting, but I think we're still trying to get a hold of Hazel, but we are having connection issues with her. From what I understand, there are going to be boot camp days, and in these boot camp days you will get the necessary assistance in order to strengthen your business model. And a lot of especially young emerging farmers, agripreneurs, are always talking about lack of business support. Whenever we talk to Wandile, who is in agroeconomics, he talks about young black farmers particularly, always highlighting that access to finance, access to support, access to mentorship are big problems. So as much as there are policies and government programs that are giving the access to land and the access to stock, just the other components of starting and building a proper, successful agribusiness is what seems to be missing. And for this particular YGAP South Africa Agripreneur Accelerator programs, there is that component that's been covered in the boot camp days, where you'll get to also to meet like-minded entrepreneurs, have some sort of skills transference, some kind of information transference and experience transference. Lots to be learned, I guess, also from doing and sharing different experiences for the good and the bad, especially in sectors like agriculture. It's going to be a 12-month tailored support program that, like I said, business skills and development, technical support, strategy insights, mentor support, connections, very vital connections domestically and internationally in order for you to build those partner networks. The peer learning, a very important component of this, and of course the access to global markets, the ability for you to tap in and harness and exploit all these different policies and treaties and partnerships that we've built over the years. That's the other. Anytime we have conversations around agri-economics with agri-entrepreneurs and people who play in this space, they always talk around. We had so many conversations during BRICS, around all the deals and the partnerships that have been ratified at that time. And how do young people, particularly in agriculture, identify those and exploit those, because the avenues are there. So if you do have, I don't have any contact details or any kind of website on hand for this particular one, but a quick Google search of YGAP South Africa, YGAP as in Y with gap, YGAP South Africa, and you should be able to get to the right digital platform in order for you to access more information and, of course, see in greater detail what the program actually aims to do, and what you need to have on hand on your part in order for you to qualify to be part of the cohort that's taken in for the 12 years. 12 years is a nice, healthy time for you to be able to tap into a program and, extract all the information that you need to have. It would have been lovely to have Hazel, but we are struggling to get a hold of her from her side. And hopefully if somebody from YGAP is hearing our plea, we'll be able to have a proper conversation with them in the upcoming days. I mean, we are ready to call it a day from our end as we wrap up the show today. As you heard, Aldrin's got a lot on the agenda. I'm pretty sure you guys also wanted to delve into that situation that's been trending on social media for the last 4 or 5 days pertaining to the allegations that are being leveled against Old Mutual and some of their conduct with their customers, people calling into question their ethics and some of their practices. And we had that on the agenda, but I'm going to keep a close, keen ear and listen out to the conversation and how it's carried by some of my colleagues, in particular Stephen and Aldrin, to see how are they carrying out that conversation. And maybe you and I can jump into it from an individual impact perspective, and we can explore what is the recourse when you find yourself sort of in battle with your insurance provider, be it short-term and long-term. And we've pretty much had a conversation around short-term assets, right? We've had conversations with various bodies throughout the course of last year. So it'd be interesting to have a conversation on the back of that, because we can't ignore it. It's been 4 or 5 days with them trending now, and people sharing their personal stories. And so I think maybe we'll try and tailor that conversation from that perspective to say, what is the recourse for you as a consumer, as somebody who's in contract with a long-term insurance provider, should you feel as though you are slighted or you haven't gotten out at the end of your tenure of that, or in the end of your term, what you had signed up to get from them. Because there's got to be some kind of recourse, right? Somebody's got to hold them accountable, and someone's got to be able to intervene on behalf of the respective families and clients. But like I said, it's probably going to be a conversation that we tag team between the three of us, Stephen, Aldrin, myself, from various perspectives, because it's just one that no one can ignore. But that is how we wrap it up. Swazi Lamini playing in the background, and we are going to take our leave. We thank you so much for always choosing to be in conversation with us. We don't take it lightly. Aldrin Simpia and his team are coming through, and they're going to keep you company for the next 3 hours. From myself and mine, inshallah, God willing, we get to do it again tomorrow.
It was not good without you. There was no joy. There was no sunshine when love was not there. Emptiness filled my heart. Oh, how I needed love. Each moment with you is so special to me. Whoa. Since you came into my life, you brought joy, joy. Part of
business big. Sign up to selected Telkom Business LTE and fiber deals and get a free NSBC voucher worth 3,950 rands. T's and C's apply.
Independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
In our top stories, ANC Integrity Commission's lifeline to 3 candidates and Lamula demands accountability within the judiciary. Good afternoon. We start off with election news. A report by the ANC Integrity Commission has recommended 3 out of 16 candidates referred to it for state capture-related allegations can stand as candidates, despite the Integrity Commission having made adverse findings against them. This is as the finalization of their appeals, reviews and other processes is still pending. The ANC briefed the media today where it publicized its provincial and national candidates list. ANC Secretary-General Figlem Lula says the candidates will be allowed to stand for now.
Accordingly, the special NEC resolved that the above candidates should be allowed to stand as ANC candidates pending completion of their various outstanding appeal, review or disciplinary processes. Should they be elected, their positions as public representatives will be reassessed based on the outcomes of the process.
Minister of Justice and Correctional Services Ronald Lamola has raised concerns over judges who are facing hearings and those who've been impeached. He says if there are complaints against judges, they should be attended to and those matters should be clarified. He spoke to the SABC on the sidelines of the Binational Commission meeting between South Africa and Ghana. Lamola says there must be accountability within the judiciary.
It is a concern that from time to time we have to deal with such issues. But you will also remember that there has been also a stinging criticism that issues related to the judiciary are not being attended to, it takes too long and all that. So I do think that the accountability mechanisms and processes have to be allowed to have a life of their own to process these matters and deal with them. And anyone who has got a case to answer, they are able to answer and clarify. If there is no case, there is no case.
Former Ukhozi FM news reader Joe Maruping has died. Maruping, who joined SABC News in 1999 as a newsreader, retired in 2016. He died in Benoni East of Johannesburg. His daughter Lebogang has described her father as someone who loved his family and was passionate about his work.
I'm hereby confirming that Mr. Joe Komani Maruping passed on yesterday around about 2:10. He was a pillar in the family. He was not only being a father to us, he was a father to even his nephews and nieces, to also our children. He was a great grandfather to them. Education. Let us go to school, let us read books, respect, love one another. That's the most one.
The decision by the eThekwini municipality to open its landfill sites to the public to dispose of their waste has left businesses close by frustrated. The move was necessitated by the disruption to refuse collection due to the ongoing municipal workers' strike. Siad Adam, who manages a space shop near a landfill site in Durban North, speaks to us about how the rubbish is inching closer to his premises.
The dirt is creeping up to us. It should be the next day or so, and it's affecting our business very bad. The smell, no one wants to come to the site. Yeah, the clients are coming here, everyone is complaining, and we don't know, today maybe they'll come down by the front of our door. Yeah, we've cordoned off some of the places, but I guess it won't affect because they'll throw over that day. There's nothing else we can do about it now. That's the best we can do.
These Durban residents who are dumping their waste at the site say they do not have other options because their refuse has not been collected for days.
I feel guilty myself just coming to dump on the street. It doesn't look nice and it's not good. Somebody's got to move the dirt. I live in a narrow road, a one-way road. With the dirt in the road, you cannot drive in it. What's going on here is not nice. It's not something nice to see. We have the Mgeni Bird Park here, which is always a clean area to drive through, just to have a drive-by during the day. watching the views, getting the smell, but now you have all this dirt all along. Where do we put our dirt? That's my question.
It's just gone berserk and crazy, and it's an inconvenience for everybody.
Further afield, and finally, President Volodymyr Zelensky's chief of staff has hailed the importance of Ukraine's first ever Oscar after the best documentary was won by 20 Days in Mariupol. The documentary details the brutal Russian siege of the port city before its eventual occupation. Speaking after the win, the film's director, Mstislav Shinov, says it came at a crucial time for his country.
Right now, unfortunately, Ukraine and topic of supporting Ukraine became a bargaining chip for a lot of politicians in the world. And I hope I remind everyone with our film that this is a humanitarian catastrophe and this is not a political question. This is a humanitarian emergency.
Recapping the top story, a report by the ANC Integrity Commission has recommended 3 out of 16 candidates referred to it for state capture-related allegations can stand as candidates despite the Integrity Commission having made adverse findings against them. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
And coming up in your sports this hour, Bruce announces his final Bafana squad for the FIFA friendlies. Van Vuuren qualifies for the Paris Olympic Games, and SA's Brad Binder happy with second place at Qatar MotoGP. More details at 3:30.
A dream drafts the business. Passion takes it places because you are the business. Do business big with Telkom Business. Guests don't stay for the elevator music. Your name is what they rate because you are the business. Get Core Fiber Lite 40 by 20 megabits per second for 549 Rand per month from Telkom Business. The first 1,000 businesses to sign up to selected LTE and fiber deals will receive a free National Small Business Chamber voucher worth 3,950 Rand. Do business big. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply.
Gautrain is for the legends who make moves to save and pay from as little as 35 Rand from Hatfield to Centurion. It's for Ikoko who steady chill on neutral on a downhill just to save fuel. So when it comes to travel, make moves that save and pay from as little as 35 Rand from Hatfield to Centurion Station. Gautrain, for people on the move.
Unlock a world of benefits. Welcome to SABC's TV License Rewards program. Ready to make your viewing experience more rewarding? Say hello to perks that go beyond just watching TV. Join us today at sabctvlicenserewards.co.za and instantly receive your first reward. But wait, there's more. You can get up to 500 Rand back. Become part of something bigger, a movement where watching TV isn't just a hobby, it's a catalyst for positive change. Register now at sabctvlicenserewards.co.za and open the door to a world of benefits. Plus, every time you tune in, you're making a difference. T's and C's apply. Remember, TV license fees aren't just payments, they make a difference.
The Mazda CX-60 3.3-litre turbo diesel. That six-cylinder engine will take you by surprise. Succumb to its powers. Experience the Mazda CX-60 3.3-litre turbo diesel for yourself.
Rito leri hangalakeke na misava hinkwayo ri haxa mbewu ya vutlhari. Xana imani anga ku miyetaka ke? Imani anga miyetaka mpfumawulo wa rito ra kuke? 326 hi tshama hi ri etindleve eka SAFM hikuva u yi phamela swakudya swa miehleketo hi dya yi tlhela hi xiva. Ndzi ri hala la Aldrin Sapia hala
Aldrin St-Pierre on Beyond the Headline.
It is 10 minutes after 3 o'clock. Good afternoon and welcome to Beyond the Headline with me, Aldrin St-Pierre. Thank you so much for choosing us this afternoon. We're with you from now